Welcome back to another episode of The Hardcore Casual with your boy, Bass the Kid. Now, I've checked the numbers recently and the subscriber base has gone up quite considerably. So I want to give massive thank yous to Adeola Depot, to Chris Andre Boxing, to G-Man Boxing. If you've ever come over due to Ring IQ or Boxing Beats and Rhymes, Joe Habib and D-Style Boxing for the Round Table, Maestro, Undefeated Podcast, or if you just found me organically, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for giving me your time and giving me a watch. And I hope that you do like the content moving forward. I respond to every comment. Even if it's not necessarily an actual comment, I will acknowledge them because you've taken the time to write them. So until it gets to the point where it's taken a day to do that, you will still see that continue, and I will always try and show love in the comments. I'm going to get on the community tab a bit more now as well. So yeah, just going to be knowing what's going on moving forward and any future plans that you guys will know before anyone else. So please like, subscribe and share. Share especially with friends, colleagues, relatives, immediate family members, associates, even enemies. Like, put it in their face. Like, you know, I'm ready for any and all subscriptions, all watches, all comments, all likes. Every click matters. And yeah, I just want to thank everyone that's helped me get to this stage. Also, October Red Boxing, I cannot forget her either. Brilliant channel. I'm going to put a link of all the channels that I frequent, all the ones that I truly trust and believe in the description below. So if you're not signed up to any of those, just have a little look through and see if any of them take your fancy. But yeah, there's a couple things that kind of took place over the last few days. I haven't really been able to touch on some things just due to some other stuff that's happened, but because this is a very quiet weekend of boxing, generally speaking, compared to some that we've had recent, I figured might as well do a show on Saturday to address some of that stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, a couple quick bits. So the WBC ordered Callum Smith versus Beterbiev, and I think a deal has to be in place before the 11th of April, otherwise it will go to purse bids, and then you have 90 days after that purse bid date for that fight to take place or be announced. Okay, so we knew this was coming. The issue I have is the timing between this announcement and how close Callum Smith pulled out of that Powell Stepien fight last weekend. They seem a bit too close for my liking. I mean, look, we had the rumor mill that Dillian White pulled out of that Otto Wallin fight because he knew he was about to be called as a mandatory for Tyson Fury next, right? And whether that is the case or not, it's bad optics that now the very next fight you go into after pulling out of a fight is a mandatory shot. Now, me personally, I think that unless you've got medical certificates that are quantified that everyone can see, you shouldn't be allowed to pull out of a contracted bout to then take a next one that's not immediate. For instance, like this next bout is not going to happen until July, August at the absolute earliest, because Ramadan don't finish until the end of April, start of May. You still need a training camp after that. Like, you're fighting in March. 3, 4, 5 months is more than enough time from one fight to a next one. So I actually don't believe that should be allowed, or your mandatory spot should be pushed back if you're not staying active. And when these people are only fighting like once a year, that's, to me, isn't good enough for you to then say, oh well, I'm going to pull out of this fight, not be active, but then I'm still allowed this mandatory shot. To me, that shouldn't be allowed. If he's genuinely injured, cool. But then if that's the case, how are you coming straight off of an injury into probably the hardest fight of your career? Because remember, Canelo beat up on Callum Smith. John Ryder beat up on Callum Smith. But neither of those two will be able to put a beating on Callum Smith the way that Beterbiev will. So to me, that seems a little dodgy. But I guess needs must at this point. Moving on to the next. So we saw on Wednesday that Joshua Buatsi joined Sky Sports and Boxer and was basically throwing shade at DAZN, saying you don't have to download the app to see me anymore. You don't have to give out your email address, your bank details, all that stuff. You just know exactly where I'm going to be. You're gonna see and you're gonna know when my fights are taking place. Well, Thursday, DAZN clapped back with their own announcement saying that they now got a channel on Sky. Channel 429, I believe it is. Now, I haven't actually checked my Skybox to see if it's there yet, but they said the channel will be up and running from the 23rd of March. Now, initially they said that there's no access to existing subscribers as yet. So brand new subscribers can get whatever deal it is that they was putting on and pay a monthly premium. Now, obviously this was done primarily for pubs and clubs so they can get, you know, those big box office events and stuff on in those places when they do take place. To me, it was a brilliant counter in the sense that, yeah, well, the reason you've just given for leaving is actually now bullshit, because you would have known that this was happening. I mean, there's no coincidence that the day you get announced, all of a sudden the following day there's an announcement there. So you would have been told if that's one of the reasons, because again, Josh said that he had points in his matching rights that weren't honored, and I'm assuming one of those was around visibility. I want to be able to guarantee to be seen by this many people at any one time, potentially, and that was one that maybe he's reckoning wasn't honored. Well, now it can be, and I'm sure that in the background the DAZN bigwigs would have made it known to Eddie and Frank and everyone else that this was about to happen, so that could have been something you'd stated. So that therefore tells me that probably there was a lot more issues as to why Buatsi wanted to leave as opposed to just the visibility. You know, when I first initially heard it at the press conference, I thought, all right, it's a bit of a weird move to move away from all of the competition that you can have, to move to a platform that doesn't have any really. But I heard some things around numbers and visibility. I said, okay, yeah, cool. It made the right move for him, made business sense. You would have seen that on October Red's channel. And then, you know, when I sort of started to think more, you saw me change. My opinion didn't change wholeheartedly, but I started to now question again the validity of it. And I've seen videos since of other people basically saying he just didn't want to fight people he knew he couldn't beat, and that's why he's moved over to Sky Sports to be the big fish in the proverbial small pond at this particular point in his weight division. I don't know. I'll reserve judgment. Got to see who his first opponent is, got to see how active he stays, and then got to see what happens moving forward to ascertain whether he made the right move. Some people left Matchroom and it was the perfect move for them, Natasha Jonas being the biggest credible name there, probably Chris Billam-Smith as well. Some left and it didn't work out so well. I'm probably looking at you, Lerone Richards, but you know, such is life. So yeah, in terms of the DAZN clapback, it was good in the sense that, yeah, well, whatever you've just said now is bullshit. But then the backlash to them came with, well, existing subscribers now can't use their details to log into the channel on Sky. Well, DAZN also said that they put out a release on Twitter basically saying that, look, we've heard you, we've listened, our technicians are now working on a workaround to make sure that everyone who's got the app and got current subscriptions will have access to the TV channel as well. Now, I'm not assuming that's going to be straight away, but the fact that that's actually in motion, and it was a thing that I thought that was going to take place anyway, just like if you had a new subscription coming through, after it's launched, that you would be able to use all of the same subscription packages that they give you, the options on the TV as on that app, like moving forward, and you just have, you know, cross connectivity between all of them. So yeah, I mean, look, it was a bit, their approach to some of their things at the moment, like the price hike, the way that was handled wasn't great. The way the rollout of the actual channel wasn't great. But I think some of these things have just been caused by maybe cause and effect. Someone has maybe jumped the gun with something and they've just had to kind of rush it through and then basically deal with the backlash and try and find a workaround afterwards. But either way, it's a good thing that it will be on there now. So again, those people who like to kind of just go to the pub, go to the bar, and watch these events there with atmosphere of crowds, rather than just maybe in their bedroom by themselves, or in the house, or on their phone, or on their tablet. You get that opportunity now as well. So, and at least that way, anyone who's maybe doing like watch along parties or maybe streams or whatever, at least now they don't have to worry about internet connection buffering and not being able to do that while they're obviously doing their other stuff, which they've paid for it. So you want a nice, solid, clean experience. That's why I see it. So yeah, good move from DAZN. It was definitely in the pipeline. We knew about that. I thought they was going to Virgin, so it remains to be seen whether or not there will also be a Virgin channel announced shortly. They might even get their BBC deal back up and running. Who knows? But onwards and upwards, it looks like they are moving in the right direction, even if it's not as quickly as maybe everyone else would hope. So let's see what happens moving forward. Adrian Broner. Just when you think he can't get any lower, he pulls out a shovel and digs to the center of the earth. So after his BLK Prime deal fell through, which was supposed to be like free fight deal for $10 million or something along those lines, you thought, okay, hell yeah, good to go. Like that's you. All of a sudden, he has three fights drop out on him in his initial debut. Parts ways with them. So you think, well, he's now just got to basically find the biggest name to fight. So I predicted that he would probably fight Conor Benn on the undercard of the Edgar Berlanga show, which is going to be taking place in June. No, so what he's decided to do is sign with Don King. Now, Don King, legendary promoter, like was one of the best back in the 70s and 80s and the 90s. But in the last 25 years, it's pretty much irrelevant. And not only is Don King irrelevant, Don King doesn't have a platform deal. He has no TV. There's no TV deal that goes along with him. So there's no DAZN, there's no Top Rank ESPN, there's no PBC Showtime, there's no Fox Sports, there's no Setanta, there's not even a Box Nation. He doesn't even have a deal with Fight TV. So it's like, okay, you sign for whatever bag he's given you. Don King maybe does one show every 2 years, and he literally just rotates the same fighters around. He's got like 3 fighters in a couple different weight divisions, and they just kind of all rotate around each other. That's what I've seen over the last couple of years. So what exactly are you doing over there? Who is he going to entice? Who are you going to fight? Or is this just a case of he's almost more like promotion / manager, and he's just going to facilitate you to get a deal elsewhere? Well, if that's the case, could have cut out the middleman and done that yourself, because he's going to take a percentage of your purse. Then wherever you go, they're going to take a percentage. Or is it just a case that you've signed this big upfront deal and now you ain't actually going to get any money from your fights? Whatever he's given you on that table that you two had the picture on, what is that, all of your money, and now everything else is going to go to him when things are negotiated, or he's going to get like the lion's share? Is that the deal you signed? I don't know how this makes any sense. I need to see what the next move is. I'm intrigued of the next move, because to me there's levels of stupid that I'm unable to process and understand. But maybe this one, maybe there's a play here I haven't seen. So yeah, if you guys know, put in the comments and give me a perspective, because to me this is just mad. So if you saw yesterday on my basis picks video, it was very negative. I didn't like anything that was kind of going on this weekend. It's really a poor weekend, and I think my biggest issues and my biggest contention was with Zurdo Ramirez facing Gabriel Rosado, a guy that's a 160 pounder realistically, versus a guy that should be fighting at cruiserweight, could even fight at heavyweight really. Now, in that same video, I made a point about Oscar De La Hoya talking about Canelo's level of opponent and how he's regressing and blah blah blah, and I didn't want to do a full segment on it, so I'm still not going to. But he's basically saying that you know, one hand he said that Canelo was his management and his promoters like were idiots for putting him with someone like Bivol. That's too tough. But then you're saying that John Ryder is, you know, that you're not going to do anything for your legacy with the likes of John Ryder. So ultimately, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Eddie Hearn came back and basically just said, you know, he needs to worry about getting his own fighters out first of all, and worry about his matchmaking, because it's shocking. Jaime Munguia is not being matched up correctly, and I said Zurdo Ramirez is not being matched up correctly. Well, Oscar De La Hoya comes back out, basically tries to make it about Eddie Hearn wanting to sign Jaime Munguia. It's like, well, can't you make your own stars? Why you keep trying to take mine? Eddie didn't say anything of the sorts, so I don't really understand how he tried to make that play and how he made that correlate when it was obviously him continuously throwing the shade out. That being said, karma is a great thing, and I'm not talking about Karma Serene, she is great, but I'm talking about the action of karma, because lo and behold, no one wanted Zurdo Ramirez versus Gabe Rosado, and now it's not happening because Zurdo Ramirez, on some mad, I don't know how this happened, he came in on the initial scales 187 pounds. Then he managed to, in the 2 hours they gave him, he managed to drop just under 5 pounds. He ended up, his last weight was like 182.6 or something like that. So basically he was 7 pounds 0.6 over the light heavyweight limit, the contracted limit to take the fight. So the fight has been called off. Now, firstly, I'm happy the fight was called off, because that fight should have never been made in the first place. Secondly, he put out a statement basically saying, oh, I tried to the death to try and get this weight off. It was, you know, I've always made weight out. It was, you know, this isn't something I ever do. It's unprofessional. It's not something I stand for. I'm always professional. No. You can't tell me that you were 12 pounds overweight that first time and yet you tried your hardest to make weight. No, you didn't. Like, you can try and lie to the public, but we don't believe you. Now, ultimately, this is a good thing, because he was a weight bully at 168 and he was even a weight bully at 175. Fight at cruiserweight where you're supposed to be fighting. You can't make 175 properly anymore, that's clear. And if you can, you can't beat the best of the best at that division. That's been shown by your very last fight. You've taken soft touches for year after year after year. Again, weight bullying at 168, fighting people that have either come up or they're very small at that weight. Same thing at 175, or people that are just, you know, past it, or, you know, no power or whatever, and you basically just overpower them. What was it, the Dominic Bosel fight? He came into the ring at like 205 pounds, 20 pounds over the light heavyweight limit. But yet, that's your division. No, good. Go up to cruiserweight and get beat up by anyone in the top 20, because literally the guy is not that good. And whereas before he had size advantage on people, he ain't gonna have that no more. So now we're gonna actually see what you're really made of, because there's no way that you're making 175 again. And if you do, you're gonna be dead at the weight, or you're gonna be fighting another blown up middleweight or a blown up super middleweight. We don't want to see that. Go and fight people in your proper weight class, and now we can see where you're really at. So yeah, Oscar De La Hoya, you gotta stop worrying about Eddie Hearn and start worrying about your own stable at this point. That's how I see it. Look, I'm gonna leave it there. The video's probably long enough at this point, but thank you very much for watching. All the new subscribers, again, like and subscribe, share with your colleagues and friends and anyone else who's clicked onto the video. Appreciate it all. But for right now, it's Hardcore Casual out.